I've been caught a little short today. I've come out to my mum's. It's not my bedroom. I brought my laptop just in case Lincoln City made a signing this afternoon, thinking, I've not heard anything. I mean, the Tyler Walker stuff is pie in the sky. The loan deals potentially, but probably get some good notice. And then this happens. The Imps sign central defender Joe Walsh. Everything about this has caught me by surprise, as you can tell by this fearful sight above me, which is ghostly dolls, one of my mum's passions. Signing a player today has caught me a little bit by surprise. The heads up came after 5 o'clock. So very little time to prepare. I'd seen Joe Walsh was meant to be leaving MK Dons, but again, I know of him. I know a little of him, but it never occurred to me to connect him to us. None of those in the know, EFL hub transfer wankers, none of those kind of mentioned it either, did they? Surprising, because you would think if they were that in the know, they would have picked up on this. So Lincoln City have today signed yet another player, Joe Walsh. Plenty of experience around League One and League Two. League One in particular, predominantly with MK Dons, but has also played for Crawley. Was Crawley's Player of the Year at one point. Played in the Championship for MK Dons. Been with them a while now. I will say this: he hasn't jumped out at me when we've played MK Dons. Now, I'm not being critical of him. I'm just being brutally honest. They were a very effective unit in that League Two season defensively, certainly at our place. But there was one or two of their other lads that stood out. Walsh didn't. But that's not to say he's a top player, or not a good player. Now, first of all, I think the thing that we've got to consider is that he's a left-sided centre-back. And I think that's interesting because we've got Lewis Monsma who can play left or right, but we've got Walsh here playing as a left-sided centre-back. He's going to definitely either be cover or first team, which is a stupid thing to say, I suppose. I would imagine that he's probably going to be in the first team, given his experience, but it's one for each position. Malx Melbourne almost certainly now going to be playing, I think, at left back along with Teo Eden. So really, really interested signing. Caught me a little bit by surprise. Keith, just going to take some comments. It's a really, really quick one, this, because obviously I'm at my mum's and because there's been an accident at Langworth and my girlfriend's ringing me desperately trying to get me to give her directions. Sean Simon says it's getting a bit regular, this. Yes, indeed it is. Nice dolls, absolutely not. Luke Kempson, one have literally just said that he's been linked with Blackpool about 30 minutes before we signed him. Luke's with me, idiot accounts. Keith Fletcher, Bolger must be off with all these centre-backs. Dean Wagstaff, not sleeping tonight, snuffing nightmares behind you. When I lived in Cambridge and I used to come back and stay at my own house, which my mum also lived at, these were in the bedroom looking at me. So Joe Walsh represented Wales at youth level, I think up to under 21 level. Very much a passer again. I had a quick glance at his stats. His forward passing accuracy was 74% last season. He's another ball-playing centre-back. I think in the past, certainly under Danny, we went for centre-backs that were a different breed, strong, tough, tackling, big headers. But you couldn't really call Luke Waterfall a ball-playing centre-back. You could, to a degree, Sean Raggett, but he was more kind of languid and ambling. Whereas I think with Monsma, we think he's a ball-playing centre-back from what we've seen from his videos at Dortrack. Certainly in Adam Jackson, we've got a passer of the ball. Now we've got Joe Walsh. We've also got him on the left side. So let's say Monsma struggles to settle, which is possible. Let's say it takes him time to settle in because he's in a different country. He's a young man. It's a different style of football. It's a different pace. There's going to be a different intensity. So now we've got two ready-made League One centre-backs who have played games at this level and are prepared to drop straight in and to know what to do. Now, I've spoken to an MK Dons fan since the signing, since I was driving over. I've actually been to buy some programmes tonight. So I've spoken to an MK Dons fan briefly. Two of them, in fact, Jonathan and Martin, neither of them are particularly surprised at this move. Martin, who was certainly very helpful around Conor McGrandles, kind of gave me a little bit of a critical overview, as you would expect. He said that it's a good signing for us. He's experienced at this level. He's a player that they rated at MK Dons. On occasion, he has been bullied by really aggressive centre-backs, so expect the Gillingham game to be one where we're going to be watching Joe, hopefully being covered from other areas, potentially. But again, it's a deal that works out for best parties. MK Dons are in the middle of an overhaul, as we are, but MK Dons had the problem that some of the players they didn't want were still on contracts. Now, why they didn't want Conor McGrandles, who knows? Apparently, the manager didn't want Joe Walsh either. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Interesting signing in that I see it. Obviously, it's a free transfer, but I don't see it as being one of those developmental ones. So I don't see Joe Walsh as being a player in 2 years' time that we're likely to move on for a larger fee. In that respect, he's very much a functional signing. So he's very much about bringing in the experience, bringing in the calm ahead, bringing in somebody that has been there and that has done that. So I think it's interesting. I think it's a good signing in that respect. Remains to be seen exactly how we divvy up the defence, but it has caught me by surprise that we've signed a defensive player, because I didn't see it happening. I thought that with the flexibility that we had with Eden potentially at left back, Max Melbourne, we've got Ioma can play right centre back, you've got Aaron Lewis who can play right back, Alex Bradley can play right back. It seemed to me like we had the right mix, but I think it's also going some way to show that Michael's building a squad, not just a team. And let's face it, 3 months ago or whenever it was when the retained list came out, the massive complaint everybody has was we don't have a squad. We've got the bare bones. Here you are. Here we're putting meat on the bones. Joe Walsh, Adam Jackson, Lewis Monsma are not all going to play at the same time. Kean Bolger isn't even a new signing. There's your 4 centre backs. We can only play really 2 at a time. So it's interesting from that respect. Now, a couple of points. John Leonard, I wonder if Mickey Apples will play with 3 centre backs. Potentially, he might be switching up the tactic. It might be something that catches us all by surprise. We're no pre-season games at the minute. We don't really know. He could be looking at playing a 3-5-2, so 3 centre-backs, 1 in the middle, Joe Walsh on one side, potentially, with Timothy Ioma on the other. If that's the case, then it does actually fit with 3 central midfielders in terms of James Jones, Conor McGrandles and Liam Bridcut. And then it would suggest potentially with 2 up top, we're not looking for a 10, we're looking for a second striker almost. And I see a 10 as kind of an advanced midfield player, so that's interesting. Cornell, who is obviously fluent, he's obviously persistent. Are you confident Tyler Walker will come in? No, we're not going to sign Tyler Walker. Sorry, Cornell, but I'd really firmly 100% do not believe that we'll sign Tyler Walker. I've said that in previous podcasts. I've said it on the video before. It keeps getting bandied around, but Tyler Walker is an expensive player, and you don't build a squad by putting all your apples into one basket. Pardon the pun. Wonder if striker next, as we can't afford Tyler Walker situation again. I think the potential Lee there really is, I think, a lone striker. I've seen us linked with Callum Morton. We had Tyrese last season. Cornell, do you see Tyrese coming back? Potentially, yes. Tyrese, potentially Morton, potentially a Premier League youngster striker to the legs, the energy. Michael clearly liked Tyrese last time. He loaned Kamar Roof from West Brom when he was at Oxford. He's going to borrow a footballer from somewhere, and I firmly believe that he'll borrow a striker. Heard rumours, could be called in Lincoln City Banter page, Kean Bolger. Lincoln City Banter page is full of rubbish rumours. Cornell, I wouldn't listen to them. Cornell, Kean may well be leaving, may well not, but if you hear it first from a legitimate source, you're more likely to hear it on somewhere like Vitals than you are on Lincoln City Banter. So there we go. Joe Walsh signs. 9 minutes of me talking away. That's all you're going to get because the dolls are giving me the creeps. I can see them in the camera in front of me. My telephone's still going mad as well, so I'm going to be in the doghouse. But it's another day, another signing. Joe Walsh is a Lincoln City player. Our defence is firmly sorted, I think, as Eddie's just said. Do we think he fancies Eden in midfield? If he does, we're still short a left back because this isn't a left back, it's left-sided centre-back. So full-back, centre-backs, it's interesting. We'll see how we go. I'm going to disappear now. There's a Chinese coming my way a little bit later on. There's a nice garden for me to go and sit out in. I want to get away from these dolls. I want to get myself back in the good books from a partner. I wonder if I might be doing a Facebook Live tomorrow night at this time as well. Who knows? Enjoy your Thursday evening. I will get some written material on Joe Walsh potentially by tomorrow, but it certainly won't be tonight. Thank you for watching. Cheers.